Good morning, I'm Dr. Tom Harder. I'm back with another video. This one's going to be about the COVID viral particle and viral transmission. I think it's important information. Let me tell you why. I'm sitting here with my cup of tea trying to get awake. It's been about 2 weeks now that I haven't slept well. I've never woken up so early, so many days in a row. But anyway, let's get to the point. Everybody's in fear. We're in fear of a little viral particle that falls apart in soap and water. Think about that. America has been brought to its knees by this little viral particle, just like the common cold or flu particle that breaks apart in soap and water. Imagine that. This incredible economy, all this ingenuity in this country, and it's brought down to its knees by a little viral particle that breaks apart in soap and water. Think about it. Why is this so? Let me tell you a story. It's about my dad. He was a doctor. He practiced in Southern Ohio. Practiced from about 1960 until about 2000. So one day in around 1995, I was walking with him through the halls of his hospital, and I said, "Dad, I realize I've never seen you with a cold or flu. Ever." He turned to me and he said, seriously, and he's usually really jovial if you knew him. He said, "Tommy, in the 1950s, when I was at the Cleveland Clinic as a medical resident, one of my professors in infectious disease said, viruses are transmitted through the eyes, nose, and mouth. And if you don't want to catch viruses, don't touch your eyes, noses, or mouths." Then he looked at me and said, "It was really difficult to learn not to touch my face. It took me a whole 2 weeks." I was shocked. I had just had a cold, and I couldn't believe it. Anyway, at that point, I asked him what about doorknobs and door handles? And he turned over the palm of his hand and showed me a Kleenex. And a light bulb went off in my head. All throughout my childhood, I found little packages of Kleenexes all around the house, in his car, in his office, in every chest of drawers. And my dad was using those little Kleenexes in his hands. He did it quietly so none of the other doctors would see him, and he'd open doorknobs and door handles with them. So here's the point. My dad was practicing very important personal protective behavior. He understood that a virus can get in through the eyes, the nose, and the mouth. So you've learned everything you as a population of creative Americans needs to know about the coronavirus. Right now, I've given you all the information you need. That's it. It breaks apart in soap and water, and it can only enter through the eyes, nose, or mouth. So why are we so bad at protecting ourselves from that virus? Think about it. I want you to come up with your own answer. I can tell you why I think it's so. For the past 100 years, all we've had to battle is the common cold and the flu. So, if we get cold symptoms or flu symptoms, we can usually deal with it. So we've gotten really lazy about protecting ourselves from common colds, from flus. You look around at the hospital, no one's ever washing their hands. You look out in public and everybody's touching their faces. And they do that during flu season and cold season. And now you've got another virus that sneaks in, and it's very similar to the common cold or the flu bug, meaning that it breaks apart in soap and water. So none of us has any good habits developed. We can't protect ourselves against the common cold very well. We can't protect ourselves from the flu very well. And suddenly the coronavirus comes along, and we don't have any personal protective behavior skills. All right, so there's the information. That's all you need to know. Every one of you needs to get creative about how to use soap and water and how to protect yourself from putting the virus in your eyes, nose, and mouth. The first thing you need to do is respect the virus. How is COVID-19 different from the common cold and the flu bug? Well, let me tell you. Imagine you're standing up and your hands are dangling to the side. Imagine the COVID virus as a knife hanging off of your hands. When you reach up to touch your eyes, nose, and mouth, that knife drives right into your eye, right into your nose, or right into your mouth, and then dives into your lung to cause a breathless death. Think about it. We are being brought to our knees by a little viral particle that breaks apart in soap and water. We as a people don't have the habits yet to prevent viral spread. We're very bad at preventing the spread of the common cold and very bad at preventing the spread of the flu. And then understand that the only difference between COVID and those other bugs is that COVID is the knife on the end of a finger. So when you reach up to rub your eye, you are actually driving a knife into your eye or into your nose. Respect the lethality of the virus. Do what my father did. Learn in 2 weeks not to touch your face. So over the next few days, I'm going to come up with lots of videos, and we're going to get a little bit creative about this, and we're going to share stories about how we use soap and water and how we prevent putting COVID into our eyes, noses, and mouths. And we're going to remember this year as the year that we didn't let that silly little viral particle that breaks apart in soap and water bring us to our knees. One last thing. Let's get creative with how we use soap and water. I see so many people walking around with purple gloves on. And, maybe it's appropriate, maybe it's not. Because remember, the virus can't enter your body through your hands, right? So you put a glove on, and really you just put a glove on. It doesn't prevent you from acquiring the illness. Even if you take a gloved hand and stick it in your eye, you're still going to get the virus. But regardless, let's talk about how we dispose of our gloves. I see everybody go to the trash can, rip the glove off, and drop it in the trash. So if that glove was contaminated, you've just contaminated the trash can. Well, now, the light bulb should go off. Soap and water kills the virus. So please, public service announcement, before you contaminate the trash and expose the person who picks up the trash to the virus, stick the gloved hand in the soap and water, wash it for 20 minutes, take your hands out of the sink, and take the wet, soapy, sterilized glove, free of COVID, and drop it into the trash can. All right. Thank you again for listening. It's very early in the morning. I am dead tired. But all that stuff that we're hearing on CNN and Fox News is about things out of our control. It's talking about vaccines, treatments, and testing, and not a single American can help the government get any of those things accomplished. But what you can do is listen to this little informational video, take the lesson from my dad, understand that the COVID virus, the common cold, and the flu all fall apart in soap and water, and that COVID is only lethal when you stick it in your eyes, nose, or mouth. So think of it as a knife on the end of a finger with very lethal powers. And let's learn some good personal protective behaviors. I'm Dr. Tom Harder, and thank you again for listening.